We will be making this men's knitwear, also called Safari design. It is a button down outfit and be ensuring the proper placement of the shoulder area, just as it is on the model. Without further ado, let's dive into the video. Hello fashion people. So I'm going to be using this English material for this. So I'm going to have to fold my fabric into two. I'm going to be starting up with the front, and as you know, the front has a button down. So I'm using a chest. So to get the measurements of the fabric, I'm going to be folding into two by. I'm going to use my chest measurement. I'm using a chest measurement of 27 inches. So the chest circumference is 27 inches divided by 4. That's 6.75. So to what I got, I'm going to be adding 2 inches for the button loop, for the button sitting, yes, for the button hole and the placement of the buttons. That's 2 inches. And then to that, I'm going to be adding a sewing allowance of 1 inch. So the sewing allowance of 1 inch, you know that a button has a little bit of overlapping by the front. So I'm going to, for the overlapping or that sitting, I'm going to use 0.5 to it. So that means 27, which is my chest circumference, divided by 4, plus 2 inches for button, for the bottom sitting, then plus 1 inches for my sewing allowance. Then to that, I'm going to add 0.5 inches for the part for the overlapping at the bottom side. And to this 0.5 inches, I'm going to add a little bit of an ease, because 27 inches circumference is my exact body measurement, you get. So I'm going to add in an ease. I'm going to use an ease of 0.75 for that. Or you can make it 0.5 inches. So to that, I got 11 inches. So I folded my fabric into two, and I measured out what I have. So this is it from here. So I'm almost at 12 inches. This is 11.875. That was my fabric is folded into two by. And then I'm going to mark my starting points line here. I'm just going to mark my starting points line like shown. And to this, I'm going to be cutting out the full length. So from the shoulder to my full length, I'm working with a full length of 26 inches. So to that full length, this is 26 inches, and then I'm going to be adding an extra 2 inches to that. Hope you can see what I'm doing. So this is 26 inches for the full length, and then I'm going to be adding 2 inches for folding the lower part. So this is it, 2 inches, an extra 2 inches, giving me 28 inches. So I'm going to extend that measurement all the way like this. This is 26 full length and 28 inches for my hemming allowance. And I'm going to be ruling my line section. So what I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be cutting out this for the front, and then we'll the fabric I'm going to working with to cut out the front, and then we can proceed. So I'm going to go ahead and cut it out. To keep this aside, as I didn't cut out the certain points now, I'm going to keep this aside, and then I'm going to be folding for the back. I'm going to be folding for the back so that we can cut both the front and the back pattern together. Hope you're following. I'm going to fold it in by 2 inches. So just measure my 2 inches this way, and I will take it out. And then I will use my pressing iron to press it down. So make sure you're taking out what you added, what you're using for your zipper, for your button down. So I've gone ahead to iron down my 2 inches, as you can see. So I ironed it down, and this is 2 inches. So I'm going to have to take out my button down. So this is it. So I'm now going to place this over the front, the back panel, and then just watch what I'm going to do. So at this center front, no, if you here in by 2 inches, at this center front like this, we added half of an inch for the button overlap, like that little overlapping at the front. So I'm just going to pull this out by half of an inch this way. So just pull out the front by half of an inch like this. So this is the extension,
and then I'm going to measure out the length for the back. So for the back, I'm going to be adding an extra 3.5 inches to the front length. That's going to be for the back, you get. So I'm just going to, from the hemline, I'm going to increase it by 3.5 inches. And so I'm going to show you that in Nigeria. So after marking my 3.5 inches extension, I'm going to connect it together to have a straight line, and then I'm going to be cutting it to be exactly the same shape, the same width as the front now, just the extension of 3.5 inches. So this is the extension I had here. From here to is an extra 3.5 inches. So this is now it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pull this back. So I'm going to go to the upper part. We're just going to do our, so let me mark back my starting point line, because now our starting line point line we drew is now hidden. So let me just mark it at this front part. So I'm just going to draw the starting point line like this. This is my starting point line now. So what I'm going to do is that from here, I'm going to be sloping down my shoulders. I want to slope it together with the back now. I'm not cutting our pattern now. I'm going to sloping it down because this is for a kid. So it's going to be by 2 inches. And then I'm going to slant it over to the tip. Now this is our center front part. This is our center back part. Don't forget that. So I'm going to be slanting this upward to meet that edge this way. Meet the starting point line like this. So now this is now our shoulder slope. So for this shoulder slope, I'm just going to be cutting it out. So now we have cut out our shoulder slope. So what I'm going to do is that I'll come back to the hemline. I will drag this front downwards to meet up with the back like this. So I'll equate it at the hem area, and then I'll come over to the upper part. So I'll still align it, taking out my half inch by the side. So just arrange this back. And so this is what we have now. So what I'm going to be doing is that at this upper part, I'm going to fold this inward. So it's going to, this back part is now going to overlap the front this way. So for the overlapping, make sure that the overlapping is half-inch overlap. That is nothing higher than half-inch. So to make sure that I can mark half-inch this way, I mark half-inch this way, and then I'll be flipping this over, just as shown. And then with my iron, I'll press it down. So now we can now start drafting our pattern now. So we start placing our measurements. I'm going to be placing my vertical measurements now. So for my vertical measurements, I have my shoulder measurements first. And for my shoulder, I'm working with a shoulder of 14.5 inch. So 14.5 inch divided by 2, that's giving me 7.25. So I'll just mark my 7.25 this way. So this is where it's starting. So I'll just mark my 7.25 this way, plus half inch for joining the shoulder. This is it. So I'll bring it down. Remember, I have half inch coming out here. You can start to measure 7.25 plus half inch plus the quarter inch that is out, half inch that is out, or you can just make sure that your tape is starting from the center back area this way, and then I'll be placing my 7.25 plus half inch. And then for the armhole depth, I'm going to using my shoulder divided by 2 for the armhole depth as well, which is 7.25. So this is it. I'm just going to rule a straight line this way. So automatically this becomes our chest measurement. So I'm now going to be measuring my chest measurement, which is 27 inches. So 27 divided by 4, that's giving 6.75. 6.75 plus my 0.75 is, this is 0.75 is, then my 1 inch sewing allowance. So this is it. And then I'm going to be placing my waist measurement. So the waist length, I'm going to place my waist measurement. You can do your full length, which is 26 inches divided by 2, and that will give me 13 inches. So 13 inches should be my waist. Then I'm going to take out 1 inch from the 13 inches. That is giving me 12 inches now. So I'm just going to measure 12 inches to be my waist area. You get. So to the waist measurement, I have the waist to be 25.5 divided by 4. That's giving me 6.375. 6.375 plus 0.75 is, and then my 1 inch sewing allowance. I'm just going to connect it this way. This is where my half length is. I see. So I'm just going to connect it together like this. So now what I'm going to be doing is that from this full length, I'm going to be going up by 2 inches from the full length. This is, so this way I marked 2 inches. That means this is my hemming allowance of 2 inches that we added earlier. And then from that 2 inches, I'm going to be going up by 8 inches. So here I'm going to be placing my hip measurement. So for my hip measurement, the hip measurement is 31 inches. That divided by 4 should be giving 7.75. So I'm going to be marking my 7.75 as shown. It is 7.75. And then to that, I'm going to be adding 2.75 of ease, and then 1 inch also in allowance. This same measurement I have there, I'm going to extend this all over the length. So I also mark, so I'll just connect it with a straight line. So now I'm going to be connecting this to the waist measurements just as shown. So now we're done with the bodies, and then we're going to be creating the armhole curve. So for the armhole, you can use your French curve, but if you don't have, you can use your free hand to do that. I will just connect it. I think I prefer to go with your free hand. I'll just connect it this way. And then for the front pattern, I'm going to be going in here by at least quarter of an inch. I'm going to be going in like so. Just going back by at least quarter of an inch. Try to use your ruler for that. So this is it. So now I'll be cutting this out, and then for the neck area, for the neck, it's a neck of 12 inches, 3 inch like shown. Your length will be 3 inch, and then for the width from here, I'll be measuring 2 inches. So first of all, to make it easier, you can try to straighten that up before you create your net curve. So just through a straight line like, and then you're going to be curving it. So you can just curve it in this way, and also at this tip you're going to be curving it out like this. So now our 12 inches, no, 12 inches divided by 2 should be giving us 6 inches. So you can try to measure it round to be sure you have what you need at the neck area. So just tilt it this way and keep tilting your tape to this edge. So here I'm having 6.25, almost 6.375. What I have here. That's fine by me because I have that sitting at the neck area. So I just said to curve it very well. So this is what we have now. So just watch how I'm going to be cutting this out. You don't cut the whole thing like this with your scissors, just cut it like you're cutting a normal neck area. This is a of fabric. So I'm going to be lifting this front part like this. And I'll put my scissors in between the front and the back. And I'll cut it as shown. See, I'm just cutting the upper layer, I'm not cutting with the lower layer at the same time. And then when I get here, I'll cut like this. So you see what I cut, you just cut out this. Now I just cut out this. So I'm just going to be taking this out. When you take this out, you can see how your fabric under and it's not cut. So next thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to open this up, and you can see here is point. So I'm just going to come down by 0.25 and I'll reconnect my curve. Just watch carefully. So I'll just cut it this way, and so this is what we have. So this is our neck area, and then I'm going to go ahead and cut the borders. So I'm just going to start from the lower part this way. For the neckline, I'm going to cut using the back cutting first, and then after which I'm going to just cut only for the front areas. When we're done with the cutting of our button down senator, or I think Indians call it shawani. Sorry if I mispronounce that. To my Indian fans, I'm sorry if I mispronounce that. So this is it, and then I'm going to go over to cutting our sleeve area, and this is our front. So when you open up the button area like this is how it is. This button down area is how it is. So let's cut our back. So you can set to measure your armhole first. Set to measure your armhole. So for this, I have this. I'm measuring the front now. For this front side, I have almost 7 points. This 7.875, almost 8 inches. And then from there, I'll just measure for the back. And so the back area is also showing. So I'll just place my tape this way, and I'll continue with the measurements. I'll measure for the back now. That's giving me almost 15.5 inches. So I have 15.5 inches as a round shoulder, round armhole for one sleeve. Now to cut out the sleeve, you're about to cut out the sleeve. So I cut out 2 strips of fabric. This for the 2 sleeve. And for the what I use as a measurement, I'm using a length of 18.5 inches, going to be my sleeve length. So to this 18.5 inches, I'm going to be adding 1 inches for sewing. This is 18 inches, 1 inch is making it 19.5 inches for hemming the sleeve edge, and then I added an extra 1 inch for joining the sleeve to the shoulder. That should be your guide in cutting out your piece of fabric. And also make sure that the width is when you have your shoulder armhole, which is I have for mine is 15.5 divided by 2, that's giving 7.75. That's able to accommodate it. So that's just it. So I just cut out a random piece of fabric, and with this it's in two places. So I make sure that I line it at the edge like this, so that I can be cutting the two sleeves together. Please have any question, do it to drop in the comment section for me. And also don't forget to give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel, join the family. So now I'm going to start by marking my starting point line as shown. So for the sleeve cap, I'm going to be coming down by 4 inches. That means 3.5 plus half inch for joining it to the shoulder area of our top. So then giving me 4 inches. So I'm just going to mark my 4 inches like this, and then I'll be marking my full length of, no, it's 18.5 inches plus the half inch for joining the cap. That's extended downwards to 19 inch. These are my sleeve length now, plus an extra 1 inch for hemming the sleeve. Get, so for this 20 inch, I'm going to extend it this way, the 20 inches, so I can have a straight line here. So I'll connect my straight line for my sleeve length. This is it for my sleeve length. So now I'm going to be placing my my armhole divided by 2, that's 7.75. No, you measure the armhole from this material to the material. We only added our sewing allowance to the borders, so that means there's no need adding sewing allowance to this. So I'll just, with my free hand, I'll just curve it in. I'll just curve it in like this. And then for the full length, for the sleeve circumference at the hem area, have it to be 7 inches. So 7 inches divided by 2, that should give us 3.75. So this is my I mean, it needs giving us 3.5, not 3.75. So I measure my 3.5, and to this I'm going to add in my sewing allowance. I'm using 1.5, 1 inches for this. Let me make it 1.25. This is it. So I'll just connect it to the tip using my ruler. You can use your free hand if you can. I'm going to just notch it. Get, I'll just notch the 2 inches we added here. So I'll just notch it by the side for both front and back. You can see. So now I'm going to be cutting a lining piece for this. I'm going to be separating the front from the back. Let me keep this as the back. I'll keep it one side. Let's start with the front. So I'm just going to place the front this way on the lining piece, and I'll be cutting the, so you can say open up the button area, because I want to cut the lining for everything at once. And then what I'm going to be doing is that I'm going to cut everything the same except for the hem area. So for this hem area, that I've added an extra 2 inches to the full length. So I'm going to would add from the full length half inch on the lining part. That means for the lining is going to be shorter by 1.5 inches. You get, so the full length is going to be shorter by 1.5 inches from the main fabric full length, because from this full length you have 2 inches for the main fabric. So for the lining, it's going to be from here, it's going to be an extension of half inch. That I'm going to be using it to turn the lower part of this top. Hope you're following. So let me just trace out everything, and then we'll see how I'm going to be reducing that. So I'm going to start cutting. So I folded my lining piece into two, like ironed it down, and then this is the back piece. I will introduce it this way. So see, I opened up the shoulder area that was folded like this initially. So I just opened it up, and I'm going to be aligning it because the center back is on fold, so it still needs to remain on fold in the lining area. So just align the tips, make sure they are equal, and then be cutting this out. So for the full length extension, so I'm just going to do the same thing for the full length. So let me bring it down so you can see what I'm about to do. This is the full length, and we gave a notch so that I can know where the actual length is meant to end. So this is the one point. I'm just mark it, or you can just reduce from here, measure from here, this one, measure 1.5 here, and just reduce it. It's still the same thing. So let me just use the same method I've been using. This is where the full length is. I'm just going to mark a straight line, and then I'll mark half inch. That will connect it. So I'll just cut out the full length. So for the sleeve, I folded my line into two, and I placed this on it as shown. So now I'm going to do the same thing I did for the main piece. I'm using the sleeve as well. So I'm just going to get my ruler and a chalk, and then from this full length, I'm just going to reduce it by half of an inch, and I'll leave this up, and I'll make my line straight. So with this lining piece, I'm going to use it to cut out for the second sleeve because I just cut it. I'm cutting it on one. Now we are done cutting the lining piece for everything, the front, the back, and as well as the two sleeves. So I want to create a design for the back. This is the back. I brought back the back. So I want to create a style line like this, something that will just come and just create a small design at the back. So the back will not be plain. We fold it into two. It's just to add a little bit of it. You can set it like that, like as plain as that, if that's what you want. So just want to create a little bit of a design. So I'll just fold my, my main fabric into two, and I'll just iron it down. I'll just iron it down like this, and then I'll bring back the back piece. So I'll just open it up this way, and I will try and trace it out. So I'll trace out this. So from here, this is, you know, you say it's going to go over to the front. So from this crease line, I'm just going to come down by just the length I want the design to lie on. So I'm just trying to, so from here I'll just come down by, can do 4 inches. 4 inches is fine, but let me do 4.5. Get, so just mark 4.5 here. So it's going to be just, this is fine, this is fine. If I do the straight line, it should be this length. So this is fine by me. So now I'm going to trace out this from the neck area. Or trace it down, like I'll be cutting it out. So now I've cut it up to this point. So I'll just take out my main fabric so I can just have only this one. And then I will just try and do something. I'm just trying to design this like so. I think this is fine. And you can just do any design you want. So I'll just try and create this design. And it just went slant a bit, a little. Design at the back area. So you're going to see I'm going to be sewing it. So to this we are done cutting our snato material. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. So these are all the pieces we have cut out. So next I'm going to be sewing this up. And this is it.